The Esoteric Order of Roleplayers present 13 Candles, a Vampire the Masquerade duet chronicle with Desiree Valdez and David Larkins.
Tomorrow's girl will be funny. She won't even laugh and sing. And the flowers that she gave her will die in the spring. Ooh, tomorrow's girl.
And now we're back.
Yes.
Okay.
So we did fade out there
Yes.
on Charlotte and Lucille Freeman.
Yeah.
As they were driving along an icy road. But
Nighttime, blustery snow.
then we realized that, unlike other chronicles
Yes.
that we've embarked upon, that Charlotte has a fairly big life before we're starting it and where we intend to start it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes. There's a gap.
There is. And we want to fill that gap
Up to a point.
where we can learn more about Charlotte and how she's faring and, what...
Covering her education. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because we're not going as granular as the other two chronicles.
Right. Those were like daily slogs of like, I'm a vampire. Mm-hmm. And so...
Hour 13 of being a vampire.
So lame.
Hour 21.
But this is different. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out. Now I've detailed a couple things, and we'll see as we run through it.
Because basically Charlotte's still a neonate, but she's not a fledgling, as they say.
When we'll be
starting properly in the actual chronicle.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to get her character a little more fleshed out, and then just knowing your surroundings a little bit more. That's what I wanted to do. So that's what we're going to start doing.
Okay.
So we last left Charlotte driving down the road.
Cozying up to her new mother.
Yeah. Her new
You're my
mom.
new mommy now.
You're my new mom. And so you're in this.
Oh, also one other thing, just before we get into it.
Yeah.
In the interim time between our last prelude and this supplemental director's cut.
Yeah. Director's cut.
this extra footage.
Yeah.
We figured out what was going on with Obsidian Portal. So there's now an
We did. It's user error, as usual.
Yeah.
But it's still not satisfactory because they've actually closed off a lot of their features to
non-ascendant members.
No, non-paying members.
Ascendant?
No.
That's what they call it. Because it sounds more impressive than paying member.
I'm sorry. It's for people who can afford to pay.
Yeah, no, it sucks.
It's lame.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So I'd raise it from a 1-star to a 3-star out of 5.
Oh no, I give it 1 bag of popcorn and...
That's harsh. What were you giving it before? 0? An empty bucket? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on that cheerful note.
Damn.
So to be fair, we are wanting to start the Chronicle proper in 1967. But there's a lot of space between 1919 and 1967.
Yes, there is.
That we'd like to cover.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're going to go year by year.
No, well, I hope not.
No, but I've sectioned things off.
Okay, and we're still in prelude mode here, just for
this is prelude mode.
So there won't be really any dice rolls or anything like that. It's just mostly...
It's a lot of just so if you're not interested,
just improv.
Yeah, if you're not interested in improvisation or major, just awkward discussions and awkward acting, then
cut to like 20 minutes from now. But what does it mean to feel things?
We're not. They're gonna have a lot of.
Is it my nerve endings that are feeling something, or is it my brain's interpretation of the synapses firing? That gives that meaning.
Well, we want to give. Well, I'm thinking.
Or is it my mental process laid on top of my brain's? Anyway, go on.
Well, I'm thinking about Interview with the Vampire and how Claudia goes from this little sickly child to, going to the theater with Louis and commenting on the action on the stage like, oh, how avant-garde this is. You know, like she's like a little adult.
Yeah, although the concept with Charlotte is, again, transcendental ingenue. So the way we've sort of discussed off mic is that she's going to basically be raised in more or less of the whole thing.
She's not being exposed to the world.
Right.
Okay, so
she's sheltered. She's sheltered.
She is sheltered. Dr. Freeman said, I have a lot of things I want to teach you. And so we'll get into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
Okay, I just wanted to kind of...
Yeah, no, she's not going to be exposed to the world and be like this worldly person.
Yeah.
Or undead person or whatever, but she's going to be... She's being groomed to be for this path, for this chosen, for this clan,
Yeah.
So she'll learn a little bit more about it. So... All right. So, we're heading down the icy road. And making our way up to, like you said, destinations unknown. Mm-hmm. And you're driving on this icy...
Destinations unknown.
Yes, but full of ice and snow. Mm-hmm. So, yes.
All right.
So you notice that there's two drivers in front.
Two drivers. They have each have steering wheels.
There's two other people in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Here again, caveat, very neonate GM. So I
just look at that as friendly prodding.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
No, it's helpful because if you catch, because I said a lot of weird things. I was re-listening to it and I'm like, oh no, this is okay.
Seemed fine to me.
I know.
All right, go on.
So you're driving down the road. It's midnight.
Okay.
And before you know it, you're past the state border. You're making your way up to Massachusetts.
That wouldn't take long.
No. And you're noticing that the weather is shifting. It's changing. It's not as snowy here. It's a little more melted. The storm probably just didn't hit Boston as hard as Providence.
Right.
So you're making your way through Boston. You've never seen the city before.
Yeah. So I imagine I'm spending a lot of this car ride staring out the window because the night is going to look different to me.
It will look different to you. How does it look different?
I can see better. I can see. In fact, I can see very well. I can see even better than certain other vampires we have known.
Like, who are you talking about?
Well, I have Auspex 1, so...
Right, exactly.
I'm just curious here. I'm just checking for reference, whether that's something I have to activate or whether that's on all the time. Yes, I have to activate it. Okay.
You do?
So...
Wait.
Yeah. It increases the acuity of all the vampire senses, doubling clarity and range of sight, hearing, and smell. Occasionally this talent provides extrasensory or even precognitive insights. These brief unfocused glimpses may be odd premonitions, flashes of empathy, or eerie feelings of foreboding. Expanded senses come at a price, however. Bright lights, loud noises, strong smells present a hazard. Oh. So it's basically like putting on night vision goggles, I guess. So I already, you already have the sort of somewhat improved vampiric sensory apparatus.
Right.
The other somewhat improved vampire senses. But then as one...
Wait, what are your aspects at? One?
Just one.
So you have heightened senses, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you don't have Ancestor's Vigilance?
No, I don't have anything fancy like that.
So raise one of your 5 senses to superhuman levels.
Yeah, no, after... like I said, I think I said this already, I'm going to pretty much leave Fortitude at 2 and then focus on getting my aspects up. Aspects? What is going on? It's not even like I'm choosing. It's like these malapropisms. Sensors instead of senses. Aspects instead of auspecs.
So you can check out booty.
I'm having a stroke, everybody.
No, don't.
All right, so...
All right. But see, if you get it up to 5, you can go to psychic projection or spirit travel.
Don't I know it?
Okay.
I can do all sorts of things.
So, I love an ear for lies, which is Auspex 2. Know when someone lies to you.
That's an alternate Auspex.
Am I in the wrong? I mean,
You're looking at the wiki, which gives you every version of the discipline ever presented in every version. So you have to look at what in the footnotes it says. Oh, V20 went with this version. So,
heightened senses.
Heightened senses.
And then it goes with aura perception.
Aura perception, which I definitely want because that's super handy.
And then the spirit's touch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
But no, the cool thing is that like we could work together if there was a variant discipline that I wanted. With your permission, I can go for that instead. So it's nice to have that resource there that gives you every version.
It's helpful. Yeah, it's helpful.
Anyway, but as I was saying,
you were looking out the window.
I have these heightened sensors,
yeah.
And so I'm looking out the window, and I think like as we're traveling, between Providence and Boston, it's not even 1920s yet; it's 19-teens, and basically. What was I saying?
19-teens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So basically, it's still like just little roads. I mean, they're not.
No,
these aren't like highways.
No, not at all. No,
they're just like 2-lane blacktop.
Right.
And then with just very long expanses of rural countryside in between these tiny little dots of cities.
Right. Yeah.
There aren't any suburbs yet.
No.
There aren't.
Right.
Demographically, the U.S. population is going to reach parity between rural and urban populations in the next decade. So, it's still a lot of people living in the countryside.
Yeah.
So it's like there's going to be like occasional cabins and farmhouses and that kind of thing.
Right.
But for the most part, it's just going to be like, the countryside. Is it cloudy? Is it overcast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's clouds, traveling up. There are definitely, places that it's patchy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. So I figure that I'm looking out on these bare woods and snow-covered fields.
Yeah.
But with the overcast, with the clouds overhead, there's no real moonlight coming down to illuminate any of that. So normally it would be like pretty dark, right?
Wait a minute.
What? What?
So as we determined that your this all happened on your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So and that being the case, it's January 8th, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's January 8th, 1919.
Correct.
So it's a first quarter moon.
Okay.
So it's half of a moon.
First quarter moon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The full moon's going to be on the 16th.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so that's how much illumination you got.
But none of that matters because it's overcast.
No, I said there's breaks and you can see some of the sky.
Oh, the clouds are breaking up.
Yeah, there's less of the storm. The storm hit Providence pretty hard, but as you're driving north, it's breaking up more. So you're not actually getting as much clouds, as many clouds.
Okay.
God. This is so not important.
I like how, right? Oh my God, we totally called it. It's like, well, we're not going to get into like these detailed weeds. And it's like, what's the cloud cover like?
I just want to, I want to make sure this is clear and that we're communicating the same thing.
Of course. So, anyways, I'm looking out on this countryside.
Yes.
It's not as... Okay, normally it would be pretty dark, even where the clouds are breaking up and the moon is shining down.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't be that light.
No.
But I'm noticing that, I can see a lot more. I can see trees sharply defined. And then as we're going along, I'm kind of finding that, like, if I sort of concentrate a little bit, I start to see more. So as you're like kind of focusing your eyes on the landscape. And
I
think maybe at that point, because remember we agreed that like her third eye doesn't appear unless she's using a discipline, right?
Yeah, but wouldn't that just be Obia? Like
we should establish that now. Is it Obia or is it also Auspex?
No, it's just Obia. Learning Obeah causes a third eye to develop in the middle of one's forehead.
Sure.
Third eye is said to bestow sight beyond sight and enable the salubri to see the threads of life and death around them. Now, based on the fact that you are salubri, I'm looking at aspects. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to hit you until... Let me see here. I'm just looking really quickly.
Mm-hmm. Can see the threads of life and death. So that would definitely be sense vitality, which is first level.
What? Of aspects?
No, of Obeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So you're saying that you're using 2 disciplines at the same time?
No.
Which I don't care. I mean...
No. We're trying to establish how often that third eye opens up. So, my question to you is, does it appear when I use aspects as well as Obeah, or is it just Obeah?
It's just Obeah.
And so I was just quoting what you just read, which was, I can see the threads of life and death around me.
Through Obeah.
Yes. Through Obeah, which is sense vitality. So right. I was agreeing with you. I was saying that, like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because if I'm using sense vitality, then ye olde third eye pops open, and... Hey.
Are you doing that right now?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No.
All right, just checking.
Because my question was, as I'm invoking my level 1 aspects here, is my third eye going to open up, like, in the car? You know? And no. No is the answer.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, I say all that to say, the car ride is largely spent with me staring in wonder out the window.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like, not only can I see things a lot better now at night in general, but I'm like experimenting. It's like, oh wow, you know, like I can see things better. I can hear things better. You know.
Yeah. So you can hear like the crunching of the ice on the road much more distinctly. Everything's
whistling
sharper.
of the wind through the.
You can hear the
cars.
2 people in front of you breathing.
Oh.
You can almost hear their
pumping.
pulses. Yeah, you can almost hear their pulse. Yeah, their heartbeat.
Yeah.
You're hearing some nocturnal birds.
Owls and whatnot.
Even like their victims, you know. Yeah. You can hear wolves.
Yeah.
Too. Not in Boston, but you know, when you're in the more countryside area, you can hear wolves calling to each other.
Okay.
So this is what you're sensing, and Lucille, Dr. Freeman puts her hand on your back and says, like, it's a totally different world.
So I'll turn back and be like, yeah. I'm like excited, you know.
Yeah, it is exciting.
How am I feeling? I mean, how much blood did she give me?
So here's what we're going to talk about too, because we wanted to
question.
touch upon the fact that
Yes.
So for my salubri, for this chronicle, I'm wanting that the salubri blood has healing properties that, just like Nosferatu can turn you into a monstrosity, the salubri blood has the ability to heal you. So even if you were all wan and circles under your eyes, you know, cracked lips, you're not going to look like that. You look like your most ideal healed self of a 13-year-old.
When you drink salubri blood.
When you drink salubri blood.
Okay.
And you're getting turned.
Yeah.
The vitae has the usual vitae effects. It's a little bit more powerful in terms of like healing illnesses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when you get turned, it's like you're completely healed and you're restored to your most ideal state. So, yeah, so you look fine. She gave you a fair amount of vitae, so yeah, I guess we could mark that down in terms of how many blood pool points you have.
Yeah, I remember in the old Vampire, it was like the one dice roll you make in during the Prelude.
What?
Is to see how much blood you start with. So I could do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew I'd roll a 1.
No.
No. You don't want me frenzying out in the car.
Well, I just don't think your humanity is pretty high, so
Yeah,
you're not
true.
going to necessarily frenzy. So I think during the car trip, she'll feed you a little bit more blood because you might be feeling this. It's a strange feeling of hunger and thirst combined, and this other kind of feeling that you want something, like you desire something.
Okay.
As a 13-year-old, in terms of your appetites, like I don't think you really understand what appetites are.
No.
Like an adult might. even adults really don't understand that, but you certainly, do you have an understanding of that, or?
I think it's more like
How does it feel to you?
I was starting to understand that you could have more appetites than mere thirst or hunger, but it hadn't hit any points of like serious development yet. You know what I mean? Okay. It was more like impulses. Impulses.
Like you wanted to do something or say something?
Yeah. So I was starting to feel like more emotional, right?
Okay.
More powerful emotions.
Okay.
Including, being attracted to people for the first time ever, being like sort of turned on by things, but not in like an adult way.
But you don't understand what that feels like.
That's exactly it. It was like, just, the roller coaster ride was just beginning, let's just say.
Right.
So,
like that has a different feeling when that starts up. Some people may understand what it is, but I would say most adolescents don't understand that is.
No, and
when it's happening, and then eventually, like, oh,
yeah,
that makes sense. But
particularly Charlotte, her aunts would never have talked to her about anything relating to puberty, whatsoever. Literature of the time didn't really talk about it. Popular entertainment didn't talk about it. So
you think I got to go back to different theories on sexuality and development.
Here we go.
So around age of 10,
buckle up.
Around the age of 10 is when your brain started to change. Like your brain started to get that first wash of hormones that say you're going to start puberty soon. Okay. Because you were a normal child, normal, just like you had the standard, puberty cycle.
Okay.
And so that's when your brain gets awash with things. So that's when you start noticing things. You still have like your child body.
Right.
But you're noticing things that you weren't noticing before.
Yes.
And then
it's the creepiest part of puberty.
It's the weirdest part because you're like, why am I obsessed with that person's eyelashes? Like, why do I want to be near this person? Like, I don't understand that why.
Why am I starting to perv out on things?
But you're not really perving out. You're just kind of like really fixated on things,
yeah.
Which is similar to the salubri condition because you get easily fixated on, not like Toreador, but salubri also has that kind of focus where you're like really focused on something, like her desire to pick up things and to really examine them. Like I think that's also like a salubri.
Or to look at like dying people in the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an object. It can be anything, but there is this, focus. All right. So then from 11 to about 13 is when your body would probably start to do some initial changes, but not fully.
No.
In any way. And you weren't menstruating or anything like that.
No, right. We established.
But you were feeling like sexual desire, but you don't know what it is, and you don't know what that really feels like. You're just like, why does my stomach feel weird? That's the best way to describe it. Yeah,
the way I'm seeing it is like her initial sort of, changes are manifested as growth spurts.
Tall height.
So she's tall and spindly, beanpole, and then like mental or emotional changes were happening.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the physical changes would have probably kicked in this year and then gone over the next like 3 years or so. So then she would have started filling out a little bit more and like, all that stuff. But 'tis not to be.
Right.
So she's permanently frozen on the very precipice.
Yeah. Which some people might exploit, which is gross.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to touch on that a little bit, right? Yeah, so.
All right, so.
Trigger warning, but anyway.
Yeah, it's creepy. So bearing in mind all of that.
We'll handle it with utmost diligence and discretion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like, it's a little more challenging.
It is.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I want my goal here is like with Mini Salubri is that she's going to have a lot of allies. She's going to have a lot of people helping her out.
Oh, yeah.
And looking out for, it's not going to be like Aaron where he was like this poor little, poor little guppy swimming in a giant ocean of sharks, she's definitely going to surround herself with people who are going to want to help her and protect her. So,
I have a cast of characters.
But there's still going to be people, trying
who want to exploit.
Predate on her. So.
Yep. All right. So, so she tells you it's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world.
And
just open your eyes, etc.
Just take it all in.
Musical number ensues.
No. So just take it all in, and so you're driving further up. So you're passing Boston at this point. You're getting away from whatever city lights small amount of city lights that are there. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a fair amount, actually, by 1919 in Boston.
Yeah, although, I mean, if you look at old city maps, it's fascinating because, like, the cities still very much are part of are like, within their original
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just
boundaries,
saying it's
but-
the biggest city you've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're driving down the main streets.
It's like that country song, "The Streets of Baltimore," where like Baltimore is like, wow, this is such a huge city, you know, like
Yeah.
I can't stay in the city life, you know, like
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah,
Okay. So
but are we driving through? Well, we're driving like through Charlestown or
yeah,
like kind of
north.
within sight of it, within sight of Boston. I can see it out in the harbor.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I think that's probably where I learned the hard way that when I kick in my senses, it can really hurt if things are too bright.
Oh.
You know, I think like each one of those lights in the city is like a burning pinpoint of fire, you know, you know.
Oh, no. All right. Okay.
No, probably just more like, ugh, and like blinking. Like,
Whoa.
Ooh,
Right.
heavy.
So when Dr. Freeman sees that you're kind of flagging a little or whatever, she'll feed you a little bit more blood.
Mm-hmm.
And
So, you know, like as things kind of get a little more normalized, you know, and I'm sort of adjusting to just being in this new state of existence. I think like maybe the first couple times she gives me blood, it's like cool, you know, like I don't even think about it because it's just like I need it, you know, like what we were talking about with appetites and impulses, you know, it's just like, yes, I will take this, thank you, you know. But at some point north of Boston, I think it's going to kind of occur to me how weird this is, you know.
yeah.
And I already asked her if I was dead.
Yeah. And I said, in a manner of speaking. Or I mean, Dr. Freeman said in a manner of
Dr. Freeman. There is no boundary between Desiree
Sorry.
and Dr. Freeman. So that's good. You're inhabiting your characters.
I always do. That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right.
So as I kind of like detach, you know, off that particular round of feeding, and I'm licking my lips and savoring the taste in a way that I never thought possible.
Yeah.
You know, for for blood.
Right.
I'm just gonna look up at her and I'll just be like, why am I drinking your blood? Do I have to keep doing this?
Well, not just for me. You can find people who would be willing to give it to you.
Really?
And there are people who would be willing to.
That seems strange.
So then one of the people in the front turns around,
Yeah.
and it's a woman,
Okay.
and she's has red hair, and she.
Uh-oh.
Wait, what? No.
No, Karen's not even a vampire yet at this point. In 1919.
Probably just about to be turned.
I think it was in 23 or 24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
she's just living her life in Chamonix.
What is
It's
it?
Gisela-
Shittenhouse.
Shittenhelmet
or whatever.
Shittenhelm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Karen. All right. Damn it. All right.
Sorry.
So she has red hair.
Yeah.
Freckles.
Okay.
And she's kind of plain, but she's not, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not like. Anyway, she turns around and she
Yeah.
looks at you and she says,
Like all people born at this time, I'm naturally suspicious of redheads. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So she turns around and says to you, oh no, it's actually much more common than you think.
Okay.
My name's Emma.
Oh, hi.
How do you do?
Yeah, exactly. How'd you do?
Yeah, I work with Dr. Freeman,
Oh.
and we've been friends for a long time.
Oh, okay.
And this is Henry driving the car.
What does Henry look like?
Henry is a shorter gentleman. Mm-hmm. He has this like really old-fashioned looking mustache. You can
Right.
see like kind of
Big.
yeah, like in one of the mirrors, you know. And he's a shorter gentleman, and he has he looks up in the rear view back at you and
Yeah.
says, "How do you do?" And he has like a southern kind of twang to his voice.
Oh, shit.
And he's a little shorter. Emma's
All right.
a little taller than him.
Yeah.
Not by much though. But
Oh, wow. Okay.
anyway, he's slight. He has brown hair, brown eyes.
Okay. I think Charlotte's probably a little more reserved around strange men, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
So just kind of like smile at him and mumble a hello.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So Dr. Freeman pats your hand comfortingly and
Yeah. Like, so it's like kind of starting to sink in, like, I'm in a car with three total strangers.
yeah, like what the fuck?
Drinking somebody's blood. Like
Yeah.
the surrealness of it is sinking in.
So yeah,
or should I say the Dada-ness of it is sinking in.
yeah, probably.
And
So Dr. Freeman turns and says, Charlotte, yeah, if you find people who are willing to give you their blood, you can drink it.
okay. Do I need to drink it all the time?
Fairly regularly. You'll feel better if you drink more. But again, only with the permission of the person that you're drinking it from.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So why do I need to drink blood?
Well, in order to save your life, I had to turn you into someone like me.
Someone like you. Mm-hmm. I knew you were different.
Yeah.
So I'll just kind of go back to looking out the window.
Okay.
I think, you know.
'Cause she's like about to start like really like waxing poetic on like what kindred are.
You see, once upon a time there was a
and then
man
like so
named
she might start like that,
Yeah.
and then you just turn. You're not really interested in.
Yeah. Like, well, I need to process
It's for the best.
this information.
Yeah. It's
first.
for the best that
Yeah.
maybe we're not having that conversation now.
Yes. Exactly.
So yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, so you're making your way and you feel like as you're driving further north, you've definitely gotten out of Massachusetts.
Okay.
Seems different. The landscape's a little different. And it's quite a drive. It's been about 4 hours now. And so Henry says, we're going to have to pull over. There's a barn up here that I've looked at before, so we can stop there for the day.
Okay.
And Dr. Freeman says, okay.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know.
That's my worst Southern accent ever. So anyway, so he pulls over into this, like, it looks like an abandoned farm. And there's no one around. The car pulls up, and you can see that it's still pretty dark in the sky, but at the very, very edges of the landscape of the horizon, you're seeing a slight lightening.
Does that make me nervous? Unaccountably nervous.
You're suddenly feeling this itchy feeling. And the first time you're feeling a sense of fear or dread. And Dr. Freeman just ushers you into the barn.
Let's go.
Yeah. So she ushers you into the barn. You see that it actually has a wooden floor, and under it there's a trap door on the floor. So she opens it.
Yep.
And it goes down to a root cellar.
Right, sure.
So there's no animals in the barn. It seems like it's just a storage.
Sure.
Place for storage.
More like a large shed.
Yeah. And so down into the cellar you go.
Okay.
And you'll see that Emma and Henry are following you. And they come down, and Henry says, I'll stay up here. I'll be sleeping up here, so you don't have to worry about anything. And Dr. Freeman says, thank you. Thanks, Henry. And he closes the cellar door.
Okay.
So Emma has a lantern that she's turned on, and she has a handful of blankets, and there's some cots actually in the cellar. So there's 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
And so you all pick where you want to sleep, and curl up in that blanket, get a blanket, even though you feel like you don't need it. but it just feels comforting somehow.
Okay.
And then before you know it, your eyes feel very heavy.
Mm-hmm. More tired than I've ever felt before.
And then you drift off to sleep.
Okay.
So, let's see here. I was telling you about the nightmares, not nightmares, but dreams you were having, vivid dreams of since you had some of Dr. Freeman's blood.
Yes.
Well, you have another one. And this one it actually features Henry, who you now recognize as someone. So you see him, and he is in extraordinary pain, and he's on a cot, and he's just screaming out in pain, agony. He's wearing just a chemise. There's a whole bunch of other men all around him who are also just in agony. He's wearing, you can see other men in uniforms, and they're like a dark navy blue. And you see people rushing around trying to assist and help all of these soldiers. He's losing a lot of blood. And you're seeing this all from your perspective. And suddenly you're working on him. And you're trying to suture up his wounds, trying to remove the bullets from his stomach. And he just won't stop bleeding. He just won't stop. And you feel a sense of panic, like you're not going to be able to help him. And he's looking at you with fear you've never seen before. Maybe in your aunt's eyes, you've seen that level of fear. And he's clutching to your arm and saying, "You have to save me." And then you're kind of looking around the tent where you're in. You're inside of this large tent, a medical tent. You're just hearing all the moans and cries of the men. And then your eyes open. You're back in the root cellar. And you hear Emma and Dr. Freeman moving around a little bit, and you're awake now.
Okay.
So they're kind of folding things up, straightening things. Dr. Freeman comes to you. It's a kind of a larger, it's like a larger space.
Yeah.
And she comes and she whispers in your ear and she says, "You can ask Emma if she'll give you some of her blood."
Okay.
So
I get up. I imagine I'm still in my hospital gown and everything.
Well, you have like a little sweater. Like you
Yeah.
have like actually big sweater. Like this wool sweater that they had and some socks.
Yeah.
That they gave you.
Yeah.
But you really don't, you're not feeling cold necessarily.
No. But it's just an interesting thought.
Yeah.
I'm in this hospital gown.
You still are.
So I'll, and the gown itself still has these sort of remnants of, my mortal life. Like it's sweat stained.
Yeah. It's
funky. It's a little
Smells
funky.
Weird.
And suddenly it's like smelling somebody else's funky laundry.
Ooh.
It's like you're used to your own funk usually.
Yeah.
Unless you catch a particularly virulent whiff. But
you like when you're sick, you're kind of used to your own funkiness.
And then someone else walks in the room and goes,
my God.
I'm going to open a window. La la la. Like.
Or if you're doing laundry and like after you've been sick and your body is kind of expressed whatever nastiness.
Sweated it out.
And medicine and medications you've been taking and whatever that's had.
It just has that.
You're just like, oh my
weird
God.
Bouquet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like suddenly aware, especially with my heightened senses, of this odor that's clinging to the nightgown. And it's not just that it's like, oh, it's funky, but it's like I sense that it's belonging to some other incarnation of me.
It's like your snake skin you need to shed.
Yeah, exactly. Basically.
You're molting.
So, but I'll go over to Emma and I'll just have my hands clasped behind my back like I'm asking for candy or something,
Aww.
Yeah, I'll just be like, "Miss Emma, can I have some of your blood, please?"
And so she looks at Dr. Freeman and she kind of smiles a little bit and says, "Of course."
All right. So I kind of look at Dr. Freeman because Dr. Freeman's just been opening her veins herself. So I look at her kind of confusedly, like, what do I do now?
Okay. And so Dr. Freeman kind of realizes in that moment.
Yeah.
And so she's like, wait a minute, come here. And so okay. And so she kind of like, open your mouth. And she notices that you don't have fangs. Like you don't have any pronounced anything.
Like she's probably saying like, think about drinking blood. And I think about it.
Yeah.
And then it's normally like the fangs go,
yeah.
You know, but it's just nothing happens.
Yeah. So she's testing. She's like kind of touching your teeth and she said something like that. Like, okay, imagine you want it like your favorite thing to drink or eat. Just think of it. Like you're so hungry. And so, because you can hear, during this, you can hear, like, Emma's pulse. Like, you can hear her heartbeat. You can hear the blood pulsing in her body. And it's doing nothing. Like, you're not feeling any different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I want it. But it's not having a physical
Nothing's happening
expression.
physically to you.
Yeah.
So she looks at your hands, like your nails. You know, and it's just like, you have normal hands. And so she's like this. So she like closes her eyes and thinks. And then her nails suddenly grow and they look sharper, shiny, like they could do some damage. And her teeth, and she's like, see? And like her canine become more pronounced on top and bottom. Sharp. They look sharp.
Yeah. So I'll actually take a step back at that because I mean, like the drinking blood thing,
and her eyes kind of glow from within a little bit.
So the blood drinking, you know, whatever. Kids get into all kinds of crazy shit, you know.
But this is like an appearance, like
if there's one thing children are terrified of, it's of a person who looks one way suddenly taking on a monstrous.
Total Bilbo.
Yes, exactly.
The Bilbo face change.
Suddenly taking on a monstrous aspect, you know.
It's scary.
Yeah. It's like all those children's books are like my gym teacher's a zombie and all those.
Yeah.
I'll
vampires don't teach gym class.
Books.
Gnomes don't run a summer camp.
No, wait, there's not one about gnomes.
I think there is one about gnomes.
Are you serious?
I think so.
Wow, they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
What monster haven't we done yet? I don't know. Penangolans? Okay, Penangolans don't teach algebra.
Yeah. Bigfoots don't go to the beach. All right. So anyway, so what do you do? How do you react?
I'm scared. I take a step or two back, my eyes widening in fear.
So Emma's right behind you.
Yeah.
And she says, it's okay.
Now, I'll be aware of vampires at this point, thanks to the works of one Bram Stoker and perhaps others. But certainly, I think the theatrical production was actually running at this point, if I'm not mistaken. I think it ran in the teens.
Yeah.
So it was already kind of a pop cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
So I'll just be like, wait a minute.
Yay, an Aaron moment.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
You're a vampire?
And so she just sheepishly nods, yes. And now you're one too.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Well, why can't I do what you just did?
Well, so she very cautiously will take your hands in hers.
I won't let her.
Okay. She's like, I didn't mean to scare you, but this is a good thing. However, it does make your drinking situation a little more difficult. But it's a good thing. It means that you can... Anyway, there's some larger lessons we're going to be talking about, but this means that you can overcome what you are now inhabiting. These are lofty things to say to a 13-year-old. So in the meantime, I'll explain more later, but in the meantime, so she pulls out of one of her pockets like a little knife. And she says,
knife.
You can use this.
Okay.
And I'll show you how to go into her vein.
Okay.
And Emma's like,
cool.
Totally like, let's
do this.
This is normal.
Yeah.
So Dr. Freeman shows you, and Emma, in exchange for vitae. So Emma's sitting on one of the cots. And so she's sitting between you two.
Okay.
And so Dr. Freeman takes one of her wrists, and she knows where to lacerate her and where the vein and where the blood comes up. She's like, see, if you cut her here, nothing's going to happen. But if you cut it, so she's like, detailing
cut
this.
here, not here.
Right. So she hands you the little knife.
Okay. So, with with a sort of determined look, sort of, pinching my tongue between my teeth.
Yeah.
I'll take the knife, and I don't think I've even ever helped out with butchering animals or preparing chickens, because we always had it's not like we were millionaires,
cooks.
But we had cooks and maids and people who would basically do that. So I've seen other people dressing a chicken, getting it ready, pulling the feathers out, and, cutting the head off and that kind of thing.
Right.
But I've never personally done it.
Right.
And certainly not to something living.
Right.
But I'll give it a shot, plunge the blade in.
You hear Emma gasp slightly.
Yeah. Sorry. Take the blade out. Okay. And then as soon as that sweet, sweet crimson starts flowing, it's like, you know?
Again, all the light in the room that's available is lighting up this blood. So you're just like, you're focused
like a CGI effect around the blood.
Basically, yeah. It's everything lights it up because it's your main focus. So,
nice.
So you start drinking and you keep drinking. What's your self-control?
Oh, dude, it's 4. It's freaking 4.
Roll your self-control.
Ooh, we're getting into...
A little bit.
All right, so...
Hey, where's your...
I didn't get it because I didn't think we need it.
Do you want me to get them?
No, that's fine. Here, I got 2d10 right here. I'll just roll twice. Ooh, sweet. 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay. So even though you want to keep drinking, you... pull yourself away. It's a tremendous act of self-control for a 13-year-old vampire.
I'm a good one.
And so she's still bleeding.
So let me hold on. What do I have here? I have healing touch. Okay. So so at that point, I'm just gonna
So give yourself 1 blood point.
Sure. Wait, where was I at?
Where were you at? You rolled it, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, I rolled a 1, and then you kind of discounted that.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
So you were at 3 before, so now you're at 3 still. So you had erased 1 because the night had passed, and so now you're at 3.
And 3 is good. If I'm remembering correctly, the hunger threshold is 10 minus your humanity.
Yeah.
So my humanity is 8, so my hunger threshold's only 2.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're feeling satisfied.
Yeah. And then...
it just takes the edge off.
And then, I see that she's still bleeding, so I put my hand, just, reflexively.
Yeah,
I put my hand over her wrist, I'm sorry. And then as I take my hand away, there's no wound.
Oh. So Dr. Freeman's like, oh.
Oh, shit.
And Emma, wait, let me check here. Where is that? What is that again?
It's healing touch. It's it's a merit. It's just basically I can heal my bite wounds with my touch rather than by having to lick it.
I know that. Oh, it's just a merit. You can do that.
It's a merit.
So it's okay. So does it offer any emotional or mental?
No, I don't
just physical comfort.
It's just you can use your fingers instead of your tongue.
Okay.
So it's a little less creepy and obvious, I guess.
Okay. So so Emma, she looks a little wan, but she opens her eyes and she smiles at you and says, "Thank you." And then she turns to Dr. Freeman, and then you see Dr. Freeman cut her wrist and give her blood to Emma. Okay. And so then Emma looks much better.
Okay.
So all the wounds get closed up. You're feeling much better. You notice that you feel you're feeling woo, like a little boost. And so suddenly there's a knock at the top of the cellar door. And then you hear Henry's voice are y'all ready to go? I'm yeah. So everybody, Emma, Dr. Freeman, and you pull up, you push up the cellar door, you bring up your blankets and any other things, and so before you head up the stairs, Henry is very kindly offering a hand to all the ladies as they are leaving the cellars. And you're just kind of standing in the barn, and Dr. Freeman's talking to Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives her a little package. It's like this thing wrapped in paper.
Ooh, how mysterious.
Mm-hmm. And so then...
Ooh, I like not having all the answers for once. All right, go on.
And so Henry and Emma are talking, and they're going to the car, and they're loading up the car with whatever they need, whatever's they need to do there. And Dr. Freeman approaches you and says, well, Charlotte, you don't have to spend the rest of your time on this trip wearing that gown.
Oh, thank goodness.
So she opens up the brown paper package, and it's like a dress. There's some tights, like some woolen tights, some shoes, and like a sweater, and like a wool pea coat.
Yes, sure.
So
and a little hat. Little floppy hat.
A little floppy hat. Yeah. And so she's like, you can go change over there. So there's like a little stall that was like a little abandoned stall.
Okay.
So she gives you the clothing and... All right.
So, do that. Gladly leave behind my soiled hospital clothes. And...
So Dr. Freeman takes those and puts them in the brown paper and wraps them up and puts them in like her valise.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So you load up into the vehicle again.
Yep.
Ready to go.
So it's nice and dark. All's well.
Yep. The moon is slowly coming up. And you're making your way further north. And you are... A couple hours go by, and you're in Concord, New Hampshire.
Okay.
And it's a very, very, very small town. Driving through.
Okay. Is this where the grapes come from?
No. I don't know, maybe.
No, probably not.
I don't
think
so.
They grow a lot of grapes in New Hampshire.
No. And so you're making your way through. So that's when Dr. Freeman starts to talk to you about kindred and being a vampire. And yes, we are vampires, but we're
a different kind of vampires.
We are a very specific type. And I chose you because you bear all the signs of someone who would succeed very well in this particular clan. So she tells you about clans. She tells you about the sun, and did you feel weird when you felt the sun was coming up? So she tells you about that.
Fuck the sun. Long live the fucking beast.
And she tells you more about blood and how it's really important that you ask permission from someone if you are going to drink their blood. Henry and Emma know us, and they are here. They're our friends, and they're here to help us.
Okay.
And they understand what's happening with us, but not everyone's going to be so understanding. So you have to choose the people you want to drink blood from very carefully. And you'll learn that over time. So she tells you kind of just more benign general things. And so before you know it, you are pulling into this other really tiny town. And you're driving toward one of the homes, a house in the town.
Okay.
And you're still in New Hampshire. And you've gone through a bit of the mountains too.
Yeah, a bit of the hills.
Very mountainous. Very mountainous. And the mountain looks white in whatever is more of the moonlight. It's very white, very stark. A lot of just a landscape you've never experienced before.
I'm maritime, baby.
That's right. And now you're in the mountains. So
I'll just be thinking about, I've read a lot of kind of early American literature, so I'm just thinking about all the James Fenimore Cooper and, related genre stories of that nature with the wild hills of the Appalachians, and, the dark forests and stuff. So it's actually very romantic in a lot of ways.
Definitely. So you pull up that's funny. Sorry.
What's that?
No, I'm just looking at things and kind of tripping out on geography.
Okay.
So you're pulling up, and there's a little sign in the town as you're driving in, and it says Berlin, New Hampshire.
Are you kidding?
And yeah, this is your town.
You clever duck, you. Mm-hmm. All right.
So, you also see there's a little underneath Berlin. Mm-hmm. It says the city the trees built.
Okay.
And
That's,
so
in a World of Darkness context, that's kind of creepy.
yeah. I know.
Did the trees literally come alive and build this town?
So does Charlotte think that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm starting to see this is why preludes are great, because it kind of helps you flesh your character out a little bit. And so I'm starting to realize that she would definitely, she's of the age, both in terms of her own temporal years and the age that she grew up in. Mm-hmm. She's of the age to be very prone to like romantic flights of fancy. Mm-hmm. You know, this is the golden age of children's book illustrations, and that kind of thing. Yeah. Arthur Rackham and all those, N.C. Wyeth and whatnot. So she's been raised on a pretty steady diet of like, romance, and not like Harlequin romance, but like the romantic fiction. Yeah. And high adventure and that kind of thing. Probably has a appreciation for like the late Victorian poets, and Tennyson, and that kind of stuff, and so yeah, I think she's definitely prone to like these kind of flights of fancy, as I say. Yeah. And so she kind of like, even though she's old enough to know that that's a metaphor. Yeah. It's just like, oh. Although I recall we really didn't tackle metaphor and simile in class until like high school, so
it's like literally.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like there's this part of her is like literally. Right. So I'll ask Dr. Freeman, like, where are we?
Well, we're in Berlin, New Hampshire. This is our new home.
Really? Mm-hmm. Why can't we stay in Providence?
It wasn't an ideal situation. That's also where you got very sick.
Oh.
This will be better. There's less people here.
Are you telling people I'm dead?
Nobody really knows your whereabouts, Charlotte. Unless you want to be found.
No, I don't. But can you make sure all my animals get a good home?
Don't make me cry while I'm storytelling.
Cue up Whitney Houston.
All right. So she says, I left a note. I remember you mentioning your animals. Mm-hmm. I left a note for your aunts saying that I'm serious. Mm-hmm. She's telling the do you want to use aspects on your...
Yeah, can I roll psychology and see if she's telling the truth?
No, but she's like, I left a letter for your aunts. Essentially, she forged your writing, and basically said like, please take care of my animals if I go away. Like really poignant. And sad.
She just wrote with her left hand, so it looked like I was really sick when I wrote the letter.
Well, no. Dr. Freeman has a lot of skills that. Anyway, so
a little subterfuge, a little
maybe. Mm-hmm. So she says, I left a note for your aunts about your animals. Okay. Because I know you cared about them very much. So you're talking about this as you're unloading the car in front of this new house.
So it's this large 3-story.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Kind of townhouse, really. Yeah. Or country house.
It's a country house.
Yeah, obviously not a townhouse.
Yeah, it's more of on the fringes of the town.
Of the town.
It's large. It's very nice. I mean, it looks newly built. Also, as you're looking into the town... Oh, never mind. Sorry, I'm jumping. I want to like cover all the details at once, making sure I don't forget everything. But it'll be fine. I just have to let things unfold. Okay.
And if you forget anything today, you can always cover it in flashback later.
Definitely, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, so you're unloading the vehicle, and yeah, so you're at this new home.
Okay.
And it's like, it is a large country home. It has a porch. It's 3 stories. You can see there's gables. It's very well, it's newly built. It has a gravel road where you can park the vehicle. And it's surrounded by trees. And so as you're standing outside the house looking at it, Emma and Henry are already in the house, and you're seeing lamps are being turned on. And so Dr. Freeman says, do you want to look around the house?
Yeah.
I can show you where your bedroom is.
Okay.
All right. So she takes your hand and you walk into the home.
All right.
So she shows you. So this is a home that you become very familiar with over the next...
This would be the fade out, and then we fade back in.
We'll fade back in, yeah. But we'll fade back in a couple years.
Okay. All right.
And so the house is still being maintained. So at this point, it's 1927.
Okay.
So 8 years have passed. Emma and Henry are still with you.
Okay. And they haven't aged a bit.
The house has been developed where there's a little plot, like a garden, a little plot to grow vegetables and
chicken coop.
Herbs. Yeah.
Chicken coop.
There's other, So there's chickens. There's so the home is comfortable. You have like a whole attic, floor to yourself. You're up in the attic.
Yeah, you got me. That's what I was gonna say. So
yeah, you're up in the attic.
You know me too well.
I do. And it's just shelves and shelves of books.
Yes.
Tons of books. Like almost every week you're getting books. And
yeah, the Sears catalog actually has a very extensive book section. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're mail ordering a lot of books.
Yeah.
They're being brought to the home. All different types. You have like children's books, you have other books, anything you're interested in. Lucille is happy to have you read.
I like Lucille. Oh, yeah.
Dr. Freeman. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so eventually you start calling her Lucille.
Lucille.
Yeah.
I imagine also being somewhat proximate to the town that some animals have made their way into the house.
Oh, yeah. So
maybe a couple cats.
A couple cats. You have some kitties. There's there's a little black kitten. And he makes an appearance one day. He just shows up.
Name Blackjack.
I don't know, whatever you want to name him, but he's a little black kitten.
All right, I'll name him Blackjack in honor of certain
he has little yellow
hugely
eyes.
Traumatic events, apparently. That
I love out of all of the horror stuff we've done, everyone's the most offended by Blackjack's death.
Not just the group, but our listeners
everybody,
too.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, that's a bit too far, man.
That's cold.
That's the coldest of lunches.
It is. So you have a little black kitten. You have a little calico cat, mama cat. And she has kittens, and you kind of take care of those kittens.
And I think maybe I've kind of semi-tamed a local raven. So you have a little windowsill that's not facing the town, it's facing the forest. Right.
And you might have a little sanctuary for the raven to come, and you've attracted it to your window. Also, I would say an owl. Ooh. Actually, that would be a little bit more...
You're right, because ravens aren't really nocturnal.
No, they're super...
Okay, we'll go with owl. That's fine.
So there's a couple owls that you tend to, and...
They nest out on the eave and between the peak of the roof and then the little, extension,
sill.
The sill, thank you. And then so
you take care of them. You have some little ratties. You like you like having rats. And you take care of them all.
Okay.
So you might even befriend some of the skunks too.
Some of the local skunk population.
Like they just kind of hang out, and you're not afraid of them, and they're not afraid of you. Animals really like you.
So has Lucille put down any ground rules in terms of wandering around at night?
So she says that within reason. She trusts you, unlike your aunts.
Yeah.
She trusts you. And in fact, one of the summers, in 1920, it says 1927.
Okay, so we pick it up again.
One summer, you notice that there's a lot of...
Wait a minute, that's hilarious. Because
What?
there's that Bill Bryson book, One Summer, 1927.
Really?
So you just said one summer, and then you said 1927, one summer.
Oh, that's weird.
Kind of funny. Anyway, channeling that.
All right.
Go on.
So,
Yes.
as you're walking around town, like you're known to, people know you. I mean, people have gotten to know you.
Okay.
It's been 8 years, though.
Yeah. Maybe it's only recently that I've started going down into town.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I could see Lucille, like, maybe for the first couple of years being like, please don't leave the house. And then, like, a little bit after that's like, okay, you can leave the house, but don't go into town. And then it's like, you know, maybe a year ago, it's like, all right, you can start going into town now. It's okay.
right.
Because has she given me any sort of dark hints in the last 8 years about anything I should be particularly afraid of?
So she's...
Or is it just like, she just seems very protective?
No, it's, just 1 second here. I'm trying to...
I'm bombarding you with questions.
No, it's good.
Apologize.
I have answers for all of these. I got distracted by something. So over the past 8 years, she has warned you.
Yeah.
Do not get near fire.
Right, sure.
The one thing that can harm you, besides sunlight and fire, are wooden stakes. If someone puts a stake through your heart, it will leave you unconscious, but you will still be able to feel things. It's really awful, but it's a tool used to immobilize you. And someone could carry you away, and I wouldn't want that to happen to you, my child. So she's told you about that. She's also told you, because you don't have, nails or teeth like me, it's harder for you to defend yourself. So over time, what have you developed to, because you can't just use Dr. Freeman's penknife forever.
Well, no. I very shortly after arriving, I would have requested of Henry to drive back to Providence at his convenience and get a couple things for me that were left behind.
Okay.
And one of those initially would have, I asked for it out of a sense of wanting to have something to hold on to for my previous life. But one of those things was my father's shaving kit. And so since then I have, realized that the straight razor in that shaving kit is a very handy tool because it's super sharp.
Okay.
So it's even better than the penknife because, I found that I can make a cut without really the person even flinching, And so I just carry that around with me all the time.
Okay.
And I just feel like I could wield it.
So Henry accommodated that, and he'll also let you know that your animals are okay.
Very good.
All right. How he got that, that's a story for another day. But,
Very well, I won't execute you tomorrow.
So one evening, you head down to town. Yeah, so that's what Lucille Freeman has told you.
Okay.
All right.
So one fine summer evening, 1927, I'm heading down.
You're heading down into town. Now, usually things close up. But you also have noticed over time in terms of the town, because you've snuck off by yourself to just be there when everyone's sleeping. So you notice that there's actually signs that are also in French, as well as English.
Wow.
So as you've determined and you've deciphered, because you also are using the newspapers for, you also read the newspapers in town too, to keep up on where you're living. But you notice that there's a variant of New England French known as Berlin French.
You gotta be kidding me.
And because it's there's a large number of people of French Canadian descent in the population.
That makes sense.
So because of that, you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know what that story is. I know what this is.
Yeah.
It's you feel.
Chocolatier. I know what that is.
Yeah. So. Womp womp.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you're making your way through town, and you notice there's more of a commotion. It's a beautiful summer night.
Okay. There's
essentially a lot of commotion. There's trucks, there's lights that are really like big lights. You've never seen anything like that before.
Wow. Okay.
There are people who aren't from Berlin
Yeah.
are in town. There's this beautiful woman who's sitting in a chair, and you can see that they're putting makeup on her face and powdering her. And you are walking by these different trucks, and there's just like different books and stacks of books on top of tables, in addition to people who are, putting cable, like getting cables in the right area. They're setting the lights up. There's a camera. It looks like a camera, but it's unlike any camera you've ever seen. And so it has to be a film camera.
Right.
So you see different people running around doing things. They're setting up a scene in one of the shops. And as you kind of explore that area a little bit more, you see that there is a script, and it says The Masked Menace. And screenplay.
Yes.
So you're just kind of walking around, observing. There's a film being made in town. This is unlike anything you've ever seen.
Wow. Okay.
So there's a lot of different people around, and so there's suddenly a woman approaches you and says, "Little girl, are you part of the movie?"
No.
Oh, well, what are you doing out at this late hour? Where are your parents?
Oh, I just live up there.
Oh.
In the hills.
Oh. Was it really loud? Like all of our commotion down here?
Yeah, I was just curious.
Okay.
What was going on?
Feel free to walk around, but just don't get in that area over there, because that's where they're filming.
Okay.
But yeah, you can check out what's going on, but you really should be home at this hour.
I'll go soon.
Okay. All right, so she kind of smiles and pats you on the head, and she goes back into this like area where there's like some closets, like wardrobes, and she's looking at these clothes and she's arranging them on a hanger. So so that's what's happening in town tonight.
Wow. Okay. So I'm gonna hang around at least until they do a shot, watch a scene being done.
So you're watching the directors talking to the performers. You're kind of like looking in the shop window. You can see them talking to him and nodding, and they're trying to like figure out what to do. You see all the guys getting the lights rigged up together, making it just look like it's so bright. And you see like a crystal ball sitting on a table. Looks all mystical and strange. And so you're watching them set up the shot. So the director has his like this little like cone that he's speaking into, and he's talking to them like, all right, so we're gonna do this once. We have this is episode 3, so let's just keep the energy up. All right, lights. Film. He's looking at the person who's running the cinematographer. And action. So suddenly you see the woman and the man. They're like pretending to talk, and they're actually talking out loud. Yeah. And they're just like, well, what are we going to do? There's this villain who's in town, and so the woman's looking very distraught, and he's wearing a mask, and it's absolutely terrifying. I don't know what to do, and she looks very, very distraught, and
is just wearing a ton of makeup.
Yeah, right? Ton of makeup. Like it's like these weird colors that like don't look normal. But she's conveying this feeling of terror and feeling scared, and the man's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's all right. I will find this man," and he's pointing
dramatically.
He's being very dramatic, like, "I will find it," in his hand, clutches his heart, and if it's the last thing I do, and blah, and he's saying all this stuff, and so they're still like pretending, they're pretending that there's this terrible person in town that's and And so the director's like, all right. So just imagine that, still face is knocking on your door.
Right. He's like
Still
he's giving them directions as they're
acting. And okay, get a little closer to her.
Yeah.
And okay, touch her face and hold her hand, and then so he's just directing them through.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cut. So then they stop, and you see the actors like it's almost like dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Like suddenly they're just like. Like they stop any of their performance and they're just standing there. So you see the makeup artist.
Sir Ian, Gandalf, Sir Ian. Yeah.
So the makeup artist, you see some makeup people go up to the woman and the man and they're like touching up their makeup. And then the director walks, okay, this was all wrong. What you needed to do is... Okay, so they're just talking and they're just going and they do it like 6 or 7 more times.
So, like, basically, while I was walking around looking at things, I found it to be very boring.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of remembering, like, prior to the embrace, which I assume I'm all up to speed on on most of the slang.
Yes.
Although I bet I should bone up on the see, I don't even remember what it's called, but there's like these different levels of vampire argot, and there's like the one that's like the kind of arcane, so it's like it's not vitae, it's like amaranth or some bullshit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I should bone up on that because I have a feeling Lucille would have a kind of an old-fashioned diction, So I should familiarize myself with that because I think she's passing it on to me.
I think she is too.
Because I don't have any other influences that are kind of telling me like, don't talk like that. You sound like an old-fashioned.
And she doesn't either.
No. So anyway,
right.
I'll do that. But anyway.
Okay.
Whatever the old-fashioned term for embrace is, if it is embrace. Prior to that, I had like some familiarity with, the motion picture, medium,
How?
Well, I just mean like I knew of it.
That there were movies.
I knew there were these things called motion pictures, and but it had a vaguely seedy aspect to it. And it was just something that, like, a bunch of, opportunistic shysters in New York and New Jersey made. Okay. And, my aunts were always very, sort of like, talking about it. Like, in the same way they talk about vaudeville theater and that kind of thing. Like, it's just not... It was just base culture,
Right.
It was actually worse than vaudeville. Like, vaudeville at least had some redeeming qualities, perhaps. Like, they could maybe be forced to admit that. But, like, for them, film was just like, ugh, no. And so I, and I haven't really thought about it since then. Like, for me, it's been books. Yeah. Just books. So, so as I was watching all the sort of behind the scenes stuff, it was just like, like, wow, yeah, my aunts were right. This is pretty stupid, And then watching them shoot that scene, though, I was getting into it. Yeah. Like I was kind of like, I picture myself sort of creeping a little closer and a little closer.
Get that girl out of the shot.
Yeah, exactly. Just like creeping into the shot. No, but like maybe like just behind the director's chair finally. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then when he yelled cut, I kind of jump a little bit like, oh man, I was really into that. And I don't see anything wrong with, like he's giving them all these directions. I'm like, I thought that was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but as you're watching it more and more, you're seeing them improve. Yeah. So when he's telling them, okay, well, no, approach it from this angle, think of it in this way, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You start to maybe see that there's an improvement. Mm-hmm. So
I'm seeing that there's this artistic element
process
to it as well. Mm-hmm. So knowing that I've been sort of marked out, I've been made. I don't want to hang around too long, but while they're shooting their fourth take or whatever, and all eyes are on the shot, I've kind of noticed that too. It's like when they're shooting it, everyone's kind of like watching it. Right. So I'll kind of slip back towards that little table that they'd set up over on the side, just whoosh, take one of these scripts with me. Okay. And then disappear back into the shadows.
Okay, all right. So as you're walking through town,
climb backwards up the wall of my house into the attic.
No. So as you're walking through Berlin, you're seeing the usual sights. I mean, that movie setup is just like, whoa, like that's so different.
Yeah.
You see, the church in town, the buildings, and one of your favorite places to go is the Mason Street Bridge. And it's a bridge that is near these falls. And so you get to walk.
My God.
You get to walk by these falls. It's one of your favorite places. It's very tranquil.
Yeah.
The water running is very calming to be around. And so I'm picturing you just on this bridge, kind of like sitting on the edge of it with your feet kind of dangling over, and you're looking at your script, and you're able to read it
in the dark. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So, at the end of 1927, on October, you're walking around town again, and it's October, it's fall. There's not as many people out. It's a little cold, but you're walking by the Gem Theater, which is also in town, and you see that.
Heyo.
And you see that there's a little placard, and it says, "The Masked Menace," which is what you remember.
Yes.
What you remember seeing filmed earlier in the year.
Very much so.
And so the
I
movie's
assume,
playing.
Does Lucille give me pocket money whenever I go into town?
Yeah.
All right. So, I'll practically run up to the ticket booth and, like, slap down my nickel or whatever, or dime, whatever it is at this point.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, 1 ticket, please.
All right, they give it to you. They've seen you come here before.
Yeah.
Like at night.
Yeah.
I think. Have you? This is your first time going to the movies?
This is my first time going into the movies.
Okay, never mind then.
I think what happened was after that, I probably ignored the theater for the most part. And then after seeing the movie shot, I started lurking around them, in my usual way, right?
Well, I'm thinking you're usually doing your usual walks around town.
Well, but what I mean is I would actually go into the interior marquee area, like under the lights, and look at all the posters, on display.
Yeah.
Maybe even wander into the lobby and look at the lobby cards of the movies, And, but like still, it was still like this conditioning effect where it's like, I can't go actually see a movie. That's like, it's like going into a porno theater, it's just
based
like,
on what your aunts have said.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to do that.
Even though it's been like 8 years since you've seen them or know about them.
Yeah.
Stuck
I still have that conditioning.
Okay.
And I think she's always going to have this kind of like upper crust New England, aspect to her.
Definitely.
No matter what. So
when you see the poster for the Masked Menace, you're like,
it's like, but that's when it snaps.
And there's even a little banner on it that says "Filmed in Berlin."
Yeah.
Like, it's really exciting.
Yeah. Because normally I would think a small town theater wouldn't even bother carrying that kind of film.
Well, it's funny because as you're purchasing the ticket, you realize on the ticket it says The Masked Menace, and it has like 2 other features on it. So it's not just for that one.
Yeah, right.
So as you're sitting down, so you walk into the theater. The carpet, you're used to the lobby. You smell popcorn.
Yeah, which kind of turns my stomach a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's not really exciting.
No.
There's a lot of different people in the theater. And you pick a seat. Okay.
Yeah.
So they start to roll the smaller features. They show news things. They show cartoons.
You've been listening to.
So then the Masked Menace starts, and it's actually, as you find out, episode 1.
Yeah.
A lurking figure.
Yeah.
And so it's just about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes of the serial, and then it's over, and it's like, find out what happens to the characters that are in The Masked Menace in the next installment of The Masked Menace. Okay, so all of that.
And what was the baddie's name again?
This Stillface.
Stillface.
So there's this villain.
Does he make an appearance? Because I'll have read the script.
Yeah, he does.
And so I'm like, the script is probably very perfunctory, so I'm like, I have a mental image of what I know what the male and female lead look like because I saw them shooting. So, but I don't know what Stillface looks like. So, like, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat waiting to see Stillface.
Right. Well, because what you're seeing actually, so the plot is that there's a mill. So you recognize the mill, actually.
Yeah.
And there's an old woman and her ward.
Okay.
who live together.
Oh, shit.
And they're being terrorized by a masked villain. So you're seeing him creep around the mill, and they look confused, like what's happening outside. And you see them checking outside, and there's nobody there. And then he'll show up in the window, and it's just very like, it's kind of silly, but at the same time, it's
I'm
just,
into it.
Yeah,
I'm into
so
it.
you're watching it. So then, so that's pretty much the establishing first episode. So you'll have to check out the other episodes as it gets released.
Yeah. And also, I was just thinking about this, like, even the newsreel would have been really interesting because, like, I've never seen motion pictures before. And so it's one thing to be watching this sort of black and white, footage of what's essentially a stage play,
Yeah.
But, like, the newsreel would actually have footage of other things.
Right. Yeah.
Like the news of the day. So footage from other cities in the country, other places like London.
Yeah, they're showing international news.
Yeah, there's people who I'm like, who is that? Who's this Charles Lindbergh guy?
Yeah, and they're showing the president and
right.
Who is
Coolidge.
Yeah. So they're showing him on a train, waving to people, etc.
Yeah.
So anyway, you see all of this.
Yeah.
You hear them talk about the Great War, like in terms of just references to since the Great War, X, Y, or Z have happened, and it's like, and there have been strides made to, it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Because your mind,
Belgium rebuilds, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So anyway,
so these are things. Obviously, I mean, I read newspapers and stuff.
but still,
like
seeing the visuals,
it's like wow.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like it's like wow, there's this whole wider world out there. I've been very focused for the last 8 years on this this home, like creating this new home for myself, and then it's like oh yeah, and then also big one here for all kindred everywhere. I'm seeing things shot in daylight. Including most of the footage from
so that
the Masked
looks
Menace.
odd to you too.
Yeah.
Like what is like whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are seeing that.
Yep. It still is black and white,
but still,
it's like wow, it's really bright. But you know what? That's the funny thing is like I could imagine when I use my Auspex, it probably looks a lot like black and white film shot during the day.
Probably, yeah.
It's still fairly colorless, but it's like
it's
bright,
brighter.
and you can see things. Yeah.
So that is one of your summer nights in Berlin.
Or late fall night.
Oh, sorry, yeah. But the summer that you discovered that
Yes.
movie.
I'll always remember.
Yes. So let's cut to 1929.
Oh, okay.
Things are slowing down in the town. There's some issues happening nationally.
Okay.
The town is having some challenges, but people are, wending their way through difficult financial times. Dr. Freeman, you will see that over time that she will come into the town sporadically, and then she won't go out for a good long while. Sometimes she'll say she's on a trip to people. You'll overhear her talking on the phone. It's like, well, I'm going to leave on a trip for a while, so I won't be available. So you're watching how she navigates the length of time that she's around, and to the people who know her and don't know her. So from 1929 to 1941, things are fairly rough. It's hard to find people who are willing to have their blood.
Yeah. Why are you trying to get blood from a stone?
Yeah. Over time, Lucille will tell you different elements of living an unlife for a long period of time. You hear her, during this time period, she alludes to talking about at the beginning of this country, like in the very early times in this country. For your frame of reference, that's like 1700s. So I don't know what you've pieced together when she reveals those different things?
Well, already I had kind of, like, after having that dream in the root cellar, you know, and like, oh, those must have been Civil War times, especially seeing, you know, like Henry's old-fashioned mustache and everything, you know. And then, of course, once the whole V word dropped, you know,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, I get it, you know. And so, like, once you kind of accept that somebody's a vampire, you know, it kind of opens things up, and you're like, how old are they, you know? And I don't think I've come out and asked again
At this point in time.
because conditioning, you never ask a lady to reveal her age.
Yeah.
You know, so but
So
if she said like the early days, then yeah, I'm like starting to piece things together.
Okay. So over those couple of decades, you just notice how the town has changed over time. You notice that there are more people in town than before. You observe different trends, the way people are dressing.
Yeah.
There's just things that are happening from when you first arrived to 1941 that's a lot of change.
And I think, you know, obviously after maybe like a couple years of visiting a town in like an open and brazen fashion, then it's like, oh, like people are going to start noticing I'm not really getting older. So around 1929 is probably like the point when I stopped kind of like openly going. And plus I'd kind of like, it's a small town, you know.
There's not a lot there.
But, you know, it's like I would come down still, but maybe like really late, at like 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
3 in the morning,
Yeah.
sit on the bridge, watch the waterfall beneath my feet, you know.
Yeah. There's a couple of vagrants, though, who are in the town who recognize you. And what is your interaction like with them, do you think?
I think maybe those are like the first people that I develop an independent relationship with, you know. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think like, these are like kind of her first experience with cultivating friendlies, if you will.
Yeah.
Where
Is that what she refers to them as?
I think so, yeah. Call them friendlies. Yeah, like, you know, they're vagrants, but they're guys who are down on their luck. Yeah. You know, and I get their stories. They talk to me about how, you know, they were both, you know, fairly, you know, they were doing okay. You know, like one of them worked in construction. The other one was like kind of
working at one of the mills.
And then they both got turned out of work and have pretty much lost everything.
Their families have moved away.
Yeah, or like maybe one of them, it's like, well, their family's dispersed, so it's like, you know,
everyone's been displaced.
Yeah, it's like everyone's, you know, it's like they're still staying in touch with each other as best they can, but it's like they can't afford to live together.
Right.
You know, his wife's like out on the West Coast or something, or in Chicago, or whatever. So, anyway, so I listened to them, and then I think this is where, unless you have an idea, I think this is where the Obeah manifests itself. Because I think maybe one of these days, I'm, you know, visiting them at night, you know, talking with them, and, you know, one of them is just really sick.
Yeah, he starts coughing.
Yeah.
And the cough won't. He probably has whooping cough.
Right. It's just a really bad cough.
It's a bad cough.
Yeah.
And so he's not doing very well. He's an older gentleman. He's also been very kind to you.
Yeah, because they probably assume I'm a displaced person as well,
an orphan,
and I don't really, you know, disabuse them of that notion. So yeah, they're very protective of me as well.
Okay.
And let's see here. Yep.
Sense vitality.
Sense vitality. So it can be used for diagnostic purposes as well as to learn how much damage the target has incurred and therefore make a guess as to what must be done to save them.
Okay.
So
all right.
So like basically, yeah, I just, you know.
So you're watching this guy, right?
Yeah. So I have this caretaker side to me.
Yeah.
And
well, you were very sick yourself once.
I was, and so that seeing somebody who's sick, especially a lung related thing, is like kind of like, oh man, I know that feel, bro.
Yeah.
So so I just kind of move in, and I'm like, just feeling his forehead, because I just know that like, that's what you do. I've seen Dr. Freeman do it. Maybe I've gone with her on a couple house calls.
Yeah, I mean, she has like a stash, like a medicine stash, where she has different medicines available, antibiotics.
Yeah.
Different things that help people that she kind of stashes away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is like late 30s after penicillin.
Yeah, definitely.
So, so I'm feeling this for her and stuff. And then, like, much to all of our surprise, myself included, suddenly the alleyway that we're hanging out in
illuminates.
It's just filled with this, blue light.
Yeah.
It was blue, right?
Yeah, it's blue.
And I can suddenly see him in this completely different way, and I can almost see it's almost like one of those.
I'm picturing like the guy on the operator in the operator board game, like a broken heart, like
Well, I was picturing something a little less. I don't know, but
sorry, I'm just picturing like you could identify elements in his body that are.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say like
you have cancer, like. I don't know.
It's like that X-Files where there's that life insurance adjuster who could tell how someone was going to die.
I don't remember that one.
Do you remember that?
No, but...
I only remember it because I think he has to touch them or something, and so he touches Mulder. And then like later in the episode, he's like, well... autoerotic asphyxiation is quite a way to go, or something like that.
Oh, shit.
Like, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, so anyway, it's been years since I've seen that, so I may be misremembering it, but that's how I remember it. Anyway, no, I'm picturing, those, like, really elaborate illustrations where it's like they illustrate, they have multiple, they kind of do the musculature, the nerves, the veins, and everything that's all in one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm picturing that.
Okay.
Like I can see like every system in this guy's body.
Right.
And then furthermore, I can actually see within him, like in his lungs, I see this like black, like this personification almost of the disease. So it's like this sort of black tarry sludge that's in his lungs that's choking him off. And then I can see how that's affecting the rest of his system. And it's all in this one moment.
Okay.
So, Yeah, so I have this moment of amazing revelation, and I think that for them it's almost like this like holy shit, who is this kid kind of thing. Yeah. But I don't think they're scared. I think they're like they think that maybe
it's benign. Like
it's very benign.
You don't seem evil.
Right. And so it's like, oh, like, are you an angel? And that kind of thing. Yeah. So.
Wait, are you running this now, or am I?
It's my prelude, so
okay. All right.
I'm just describing how my first
okay. All right.
experience is.
Okay. Good.
And
I'm like, am I supposed to be?
No, you're good.
All right.
You're good.
Fine. So this all takes place in this alley, and so what do you do about it?
Well, so since I know that, like basically I come away with it knowing exactly what he has, which is whooping cough, let's say. And so then I say, just, as the light dies away, I'm like, just hold on can you hold on till tomorrow night? I'll be back and I can give you something.
Okay, sure.
So then like, all right. I go up to the house and I talk to Lucille about it, and I'm like, what can we give him? And so forth.
Well, so she looks in her cabinet and says, you can give him this. So she gives you a couple pills, and he really needs to get out of the cold, though. There's a boarding house. Does he know about it?
I don't know. I don't think he can afford it.
All right, well, bring him here.
Okay.
And we'll take care of him.
All right. So then, like the
all
next,
right. So that's happened a couple times.
The next night, I've moved. I've graduated from bringing home cats, stray cats, to stray people,
right?
And so these guys were like, basically, we gave them home, a place to stay. They got cleaned up, And like maybe like one of them moved on, like the guy who was married eventually moves on, but the other one sticks around for a while longer. But they're sort of the first ones who are like, you know, I sort of broached the subject of like, well, you know, I saved you, and would you mind if I did something, you know, it won't hurt, you know, but I kind of need this myself, you know,
Okay.
to, you know, to keep me
What's your charisma?
healthy. 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he lets you. Mm-hmm. So you do take, once he's well enough.
Actually, you know what? I'm thinking like as someone who's still largely a child like mine, I'll tell a little fib, you know, and I'll be like, this is part of your treatment. I have to, you know, you've heard of bloodletting, right? You know,
Oh, okay.
like this is part of your treatment.
Okay, so he's like, oh yeah, all right.
I'm gonna pull more of the toxins out of you, and
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you treat him, and that's how you get some blood points from him.
Yeah.
So, all right. So over time, this is something that you've learned to do. Then, December 1941 takes place unexpectedly. But you knew. I mean, you and Lucille would talk about what's happening in terms of current events. Like, there's another war.
I assume we finally get a radio at some point.
Yeah, you have a radio, you have a phone. You do kind of keep up with those things.
Yeah.
And
because like when I'm down in town, you know, walking Main Street at 2 a.m, I'll walk past the display window and be like, radio?
Yeah.
And then like later it's like, hey,
Henry,
Lucille, we should get a radio.
Yeah, so Henry or Emma will get it for you.
Yeah.
So, so World War II, the United States finally gets involved with World War II.
The Second World War II.
Yes, and so Dr. Freeman feels a strong calling to help. So she goes to, she's traveling back and forth to Manchester and to Boston, to various places to offer her medical support and also just helping with just the general war effort.
Okay.
She asks you to just do whatever you can in town. So if that means, you know, just helping people in general with like different families, if there's rations going on, you can help them. You're helping people with their gardens. Different things like that at night. Just secretly.
Yes.
Helping.
I'm like a little brownie.
Yeah, you are. You go in and you detect things.
I'm cobbling shoes for the cobbler in town.
Yeah. You're just going around helping. So
Okay.
from 41 to 45, that's what you occupy your time with in terms of helping the community, and Berlin gets through it pretty well.
Okay.
Except, Berlin and the United States get through it pretty well.
Yes.
So once the war has been declared over, and that's all kind of done, Dr. Freeman sits down with you one night.
Okay.
And so you have a comfortable home with her, with Emma and Henry. And
Yeah, I'm loving this life way more than the life I was living before.
you've learned a lot over time.
Yes.
And Dr. Freeman looks a little worried, more worried than she's ever looked.
Okay.
And she says, Charlotte, you've been an amazing daughter to me. And I really appreciate everything that you've done and everything that you do on a nightly basis. You are an amazing person. And she says that like a person, like... And she says, but I will tell you, I've been around for some time. And I'm very, very tired. I need to rest. And I would like for you to rest with me.
Okay.
I know you're used to getting up and doing things every night, but I think we need to take a break from that. And it's normal for our kind to do that.
Okay.
We're going to sleep for a pretty long time. And Henry and Emma will be okay. But, yeah, I think we need to sleep for a while. So she says this so at this point, you've been around
For a while.
For a while. It's been
26 years.
Yeah. So add whatever 26 years of knowledge you have
Yeah.
into this conversation. Sometimes she still talks to you like you're a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I think I still have some elements of child, because it's like, you're a vampire. So it's just like, I think there's an intellectual development, but there's
Right.
not really an emotional development.
No.
I think your emotional development is arrested at the point you're embraced.
yeah, I think so.
So it's kind of like having the mind of a 39-year-old, which is how old she is at this
Yeah.
point, with the,
Yeah.
the emotional capacity of a 13-year-old,
Yeah.
as well as because she hasn't been socialized outside of her core family group in this time.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, like she still has all these kind of like artifacts,
Yeah.
both from her mortal upbringing and then from just Lucille's influence, so.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm cool. Dr. Freeman's my whole world. So if she says, rest with me, I'll be like, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna sleep for a while. But before we do, I just want you to know more about me. So, over the course of the evening, she tells you how she first arrived in the United States. I was an indentured servant from England, and I traveled to the United States, or the colonies, in order to pay down my debt. This was in 1770. Eventually, I paid off my debt, and I met a man, and it was John Freeman. He was a very good man, and there was another war. There was the Revolutionary War. You've read about it. Well, he fought in that. I got pregnant before he left for the war. And
Which is kind of blowing. I'm like, you have a natural kid? That blows my mind in that moment.
Okay. And he went off to fight, and he died during one of the battles. I was 8 months pregnant at the time. So you may be wondering, what does this have to do with, you? But there was a midwife in town, and she would only come out at night. And I should have known then that there was something strange about her, but she was very comforting. Her name was Sibylla, and she took care of me while my husband was, after John passed away. Sibylla helped me with my pregnancy. However, the baby was stillborn, and my labor was very difficult, and I didn't stop bleeding. And the only way that Sibylla could save me was by turning me into a vampire. So Sibylla passed that on to me. I became her apprentice, and she taught me what I know now and what I've taught you, even though it's been, I know, very sparse. When we first met, I was very intrigued by you. Your personality, I felt, was suited to this, and you've absolutely fulfilled everything I thought you would be in this role. There's something else to being who we are that you won't find in a lot of other kindred. And that is, we are seeking something better than what they are looking for in their own lives. We want to be enlightened. We want to help people. And that's what we're here to do. Along those lines, there's also a path that we can pursue in order to understand this condition we have. And that's called Golconda. it's something that I've been seeking. And so she kind of like trails off. I've been seeking it for centuries now. I don't know if it's even attainable, but I just want to give you the chance to experience it if you can achieve it. However, like I said, I think we're in a downward cycle right now where we can sleep for a while. I've done things in the past that I thought would lead me to this path to Golconda, which is a sense of enlightenment, of betterment, of understanding of our condition, but I've made a lot of mistakes. However, I think...
I've killed a lot of people.
No. But I've made a lot of mistakes, and I want to give you the opportunity to find this path yourself. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but I know we're getting closer to it. I know you're ready. But if we sleep for a while, maybe when we get up, it'll be more clear.
So I'm just listening, intently. And yeah, like I said, I'm fine with all that. I think that she's been grooming me very subtly. Maybe slipping me some books on Eastern mysticism and enlightenment and that kind of thing. And this is where like some of these skills that I put points into, like leadership.
Yeah.
And my higher dots and empathy and expression, awareness. That's kind of these previous couple decades are showing themselves.
Yeah.
I also moved a dot out of academics into medicine just because I figured probably been reading, medical books and stuff like that. So
okay.
Anyway.
All right. Well,
it's the mechanical side of it.
All right. So Henry and Emma will take care of us while we sleep.
Okay.
And yeah, so let's do that.
All right.
So I think we'll spend the rest of the night like talking. She'll be talking with you more about any questions you have. You find out that the baby that she had was a girl and she had named it Charlotte.
Oh shit.
You find out that Sibylla was just a strange sort of enigmatic figure who it's even like Dr. Freeman doesn't really know where she came from.
Oh wow.
But she was just so comforting and healing, and so a lot of the stuff and that a lot of the kindred stuff she imparted to Dr. Freeman. So anyway,
why are you getting this gleam in your eye? Just go on.
So over time there's a basement in the house.
Yeah.
And you will go down. You have a little spot where you usually sleep. So where do you usually sleep at night or during the day?
She's got her attic room. So I don't know if maybe like they converted part of that room into being a light-proof section of the room. I could see that. Yeah, so something like that. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So you'll go to your respective areas. She's usually down in the basement.
Yep.
And things are...
I'm picturing it's super creepy, but I'm picturing it like just basically the light-proof thing is just like essentially just they kind of just walled off this one part like between the joists of a wall.
Yeah.
And then it's just a door. So she just opens the door, steps in, closes the door, and then just like sleeps standing up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's just a tiny little space.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that as the morning is coming quickly, you realize like, oh, yeah, I could sleep for a while. And all the Dr. Freeman says to you is just let it wash over you. And we've talked about, she's talked with you about meditation in the past, and she's like, take it like a meditation. It's something that you're going to be just coasting through, and we'll let some time go by and see what happens.
Okay.
So.
Yeah,
okay.
Makes sense.
So You close the door. Mm-hmm. You're standing there.
Mm-hmm. I lean back in my accustomed fashion.
Mm-hmm. And you let the sleep come over you. Mm-hmm. And time goes by.
All right.
So.
Spider webs weave webs, or spiders weave webs across my face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You had made sure all your animals were tended to. And
yeah, and I mean, it's been like a couple decades at this point. I'm used to that kind of cycle of the animals growing older and dying and getting new ones. So it's not quite as like, find good homes for them. Like I'm just kind of like, some of them I just let loose into the wild. Others I say to Henry or Emma, like find a good home for them in town. Put them in a,
right.
Put them somewhere in town.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So suddenly you wake up.
Okay.
And like you said, there's cobwebs across your face.
Yeah.
Like, what?
What the hell?
And you open your door.
Okay.
When you open the door to your attic, I don't know if, this seems very strange, but suddenly everything looks much older. It looks dusty. Mm-hmm. No one's been maintaining it, which is odd.
Yeah.
The windows in your attic are like dirty. Mm-hmm. Like, they haven't been cleaned in a long time. What do you do?
I'm just gonna call out, like, hello.
You don't hear anything.
Walk out to the little circular,
staircase.
Yep.
It's creaking a little more loudly than you remember.
Right.
It's definitely night though. And there's a light source downstairs.
Oh, okay. So just kind of take I assume I'm feeling kind of like,
yeah, you're feeling like you're
like a bear coming out of hibernation.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll just take the stairs very carefully, one at a time. But like as soon as I'm kind of halfway down the stairs, so that my, like in those staircases, they emerge out of the ceiling.
Yeah.
So as my feet are coming down past the line of the ceiling, I'll stop and then just bend double so I can look down into the room.
Yeah.
Hello?
Okay, so you hear some rustling like in the kitchen.
Henry? Emma?
So you hear like an old voice calling, like, Charlotte?
Yeah. Who's there?
It's Henry. So he walks out and his hair is like white.
Oh no.
And he looks very old.
Like, Henry? What
Charlotte,
happened?
You have to help me.
What's going on?
You have to help me. Please give me some of your blood. I need some. I need some of your blood. Please, Charlotte, please take pity on me. So he starts to cry.
Okay. Where's Lucille?
Oh, she's still here. She's not up yet.
Oh. So I'll head over, or I'll run back up to the attic and get my dad's shaving kit.
Okay.
And then come back down. I'll be like, okay.
All right.
Open up a vein.
And he just like grabs your wrist and starts drinking.
Yeah.
Drinking. Self-control. Like, do you want to preserve yourself?
Well, I feel the blood flowing out. So I'll just be like, that's enough. I'll just pull the...
He's not stopping.
All right. So not very strong, but let's see. I guess it would be, what would it be? Just try and wrench him off.
Well, I guess it'd be strength. Do you have strength?
I do have strength.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else do you have? In physical.
Well, is skill-wise?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't have brawl, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
I don't even have athletics, for God's sake. Let's see. I think it would probably...
Or even, like, social.
Right. I'm trying to think outside the box here a little bit.
Okay.
I think. Okay. Yeah. So I know that I can't. It's like physically impossible for me to disengage myself from this guy. Although, oh, wait a minute. Ooh. Okay. Well, I have two ideas.
Okay.
I have two ideas.
All right.
One is to try and use my words, and maybe try and like, talk to him like fucking, Henry Jones Sr. Indiana, let it go. Let it go. But the other way to go is I could burn a blood point and give myself a stat boost. Right.
Yeah, so let me retcon a little.
Okay.
First time of 1,000 I'm going to be saying that. So before you went into your torpor,
Yes.
Emma and Henry both allowed you to take some blood points from them.
Okay.
So you were at max blood points.
Excellent.
When you were in torpor.
All right, so I'm at 15.
Lucille didn't need as much.
Okay.
But, so you are at 15. Wow, 15.
Yeah.
What a concept. All right, so what do you want to do?
Well, actually, technically during this prelude, I'm 9th generation. I haven't done certain things yet.
Right,
So
right.
That would be 14, actually.
Okay.
But anyway, let me see here. A player may spend 1 blood point to increase a single physical attribute by 1 dot for the duration of the scene. A player may spend as many blood points on increasing physical attributes as a vampire may use in a turn. So
Okay.
at 9th generation, that would be 2 per turn. So I could technically boost my strength up to 3. This is going to be very handy to keep in mind in the future.
Yes.
Because once I'm 8th generation, I can actually spend 3 points in a turn, boost my strength up to 4.
Okay.
Let's see here. Yeah. Yep. So that's, that would be the other idea. Would be like, I burn these blood points.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm like way stronger than,
Right.
I've ever been before.
Okay.
Ooh, interesting conundrum here. Okay, you know what? I'll try the talking first.
Okay.
And then if that doesn't work, we'll go to
Okay.
strength versus strength.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna. I know that he's latched on there like a lamprey, and he's got these big beefy hands, and he's
Yeah.
just holding my little thin arm
arm,
to
yeah.
his mouth,
Yeah.
And so I just say, Henry, please, you've had enough. And
Charisma, or?
well, I think if a charisma maybe, and then empathy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so roll those.
Okay, so that's a.
We need your dice. Where are they?
All right. Well, they're over.
Where are they?
They're yonder.
Where are the turtles? These?
Yeah, just grab. Or wait, no. They're. I really should put them in a bag. They're just kind of loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's all my D6s.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I thought they were over there.
All right.
All right. So anyway,
No, we didn't think we were going to roll, but here we are.
here we are. We're doing it. It's happening.
Yep.
All right.
All
Why
right.
not?
Yeah. So empathy and
Okay.
charisma.
And difficulty is
Difficulty is 6.
6. Okay. Because he's already kind of inclined towards.
Yeah. No, he definitely is bloodbound to you and to...
Yeah, I figure we're all sort of bloodbound to each other at this point. Yeah, 3 successes.
Okay. So he stops. Mm-hmm. And he looks like has a shocked expression on his face as he's looking at you like, oh. So then he starts crying even more.
No.
So he kind of falls into a chair and
Yeah.
he's like, oh God, I've missed you so much.
Oh, Henry.
Oh. But he's like, but thank you. Thank you. So Emma comes out of the kitchen.
Hello, dearie.
She's looking a little worse for wear.
Yeah.
She's like, what happened?
Henry needed my blood. He needed my amaranth.
All right.
I'm gonna get into this.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
will be
yeah.
great. Anyway, go on.
And so she looks a little like, oh, okay, yeah, he's been in a lot of pain. Well, you're up You're up now.
How long was I asleep?
Well, so at that, then you hear some rustling downstairs.
Some flopping around.
No. No, just some steps. Coming up from the basement.
All right.
And Emma's like, oh. And Lucille comes out looking fine. I mean, she looks a little peaked, but other than that, Emma says it's 1960.
Oh.
So you see, as you look around the room, you see like this little television set.
Which is like, what the fuck is that?
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You see a more advanced radio. You see different magazines, all in color. All the photos are in color.
Yeah.
It's like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, you know, like there's like suddenly everything is in much more color than before. You see that. You do notice that Emma and Henry are wearing different types of clothing.
A little different.
She's wearing like kind of like a shift dress. So it's June of 1960, and so she's wearing like more of a shift dress. You know, it's different style. Her hair looks a little different. Henry's just wearing like a white like dress shirt and slacks, and his hair has been trimmed since since you've seen him last. Everything's just a little bit more plasticky looking, like
there's a lot more plastic in the room.
Yeah. Not terrible, but just a little bit where it just looks a little different.
I'm totally picturing it like the set from like some Twilight Zone episode where it's like they've dressed it to look like an old Victorian mansion that's had a few modern touches added to it, but not many.
Yeah.
You know, and like the grown children are coming back to check on mom or something,
Yeah. So they're just looking at you, and then Lucille goes up to Emma and she cuts her wrist with her nail and just gives it to her, gives her the blood, like without saying anything. Okay. And so Emma like latches on, and after some time they stop, and Lucille licks her wound. She has her burgundy woolen handkerchief, wipes her mouth, wipes Emma's mouth, and just kind of looks at you and says, "Well, how are you feeling?"
I imagine this is how a bear coming out of hibernation must feel.
True. Yeah.
That's what we did.
We did. Yeah. It doesn't get really easier as you get older. But anyway, so 1960, you said. 1960? Yeah. So Emma and Henry both nod, like, yeah. So
yeah, I'll be like, anything happen while we were away?
So they spend the evening just
getting us caught
kind
up.
of telling you different things here and there, but the town isn't very different at this point. In fact, you and Lucille go outside and look at the house, and it looks like...
pretty rough.
It looks rough.
All these New England winters.
It looks... The paint has really... The upkeep has not been maintained very well.
Yeah.
There's only so much Emma and Henry can do, and only so much...
Especially as they got older.
Yeah.
So my question is, a ghoul goes without blood, starts aging again. What was it, like a month per extra year or something like some
I'm being
weird
very
thing?
flexible with this.
Yeah.
So...
No, I know, it's fine. What I actually pictured when Lucille said they'll be fine is that she had actually been stocking up some of her blood.
Yeah.
Like in the fridge.
She was. Yeah.
And so they probably had that supply for a while.
Yeah, they did.
But then it ran out, and it's like, fuck,
Especially Henry being from the 1800s.
Yes.
Is difficult.
Yeah, and maybe Lucille wasn't thinking that we'd be torporing it up quite that long.
Right.
So they've been like kind of very anxiously, waiting for us to wake up for like the last couple of years, probably.
Yeah.
But my question is, so the age starts catching up to them, then they get some more blood. But it's like, does that turn the clock back? Do they go back? It does.
It actually, well...
Do they reset back to where they were before?
I want to say yes.
I do too, but I think that's fine.
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Like over time, as they start to drink more,
probably at the same rate that they're aging.
It'll help them.
Yeah.
But we have to look into the ghoul. You have to look into the ghoul book about that, I guess.
Yeah. We gotta do a ghoul chronicle one of these days.
I know. I want to.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
So, okay. So you're back.
We're back. And we're back.
You're back in 1960.
All right.
You are It's the United States still.
Good. That's good.
You start to, they turn on the television.
Communists, huh?
They turn on the television for the first time.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You see
Yeah.
the television.
Right.
You see...
It's like a cinema in the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're seeing just people talking and just shows and television shows. You learn about television.
Mm-hmm. Spend a few nights
Yeah.
watching that.
Yeah. Eventually, how do you feel about it ultimately?
Well, I can't watch very much of it, especially if it's summertime. You know, I'm not getting out until like probably 9 at night or something.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know, evening programming in 1960 in backwoods New England probably wasn't that great.
No.
They probably went off the air at like 10.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and like went to the test pattern, you know.
Yeah.
So I catch little
But
bits
there's
here
some of
and
the
there.
some of the national channels are coming through a little
Yeah,
bit.
sure, of course.
You know.
Oh, yeah, we can probably get some stuff from you know, New York or whatever.
Yeah.
Broadcast up. But
Okay.
it's okay.
So you're kind of
It's
taking
okay.
it all in.
I'm like, this will never replace film.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So as you're watching TV, you do notice like there's advertisements for movies. And so there's still cinema, and
That's good. That's
you
good.
check out the local theater, and there's like movies that are just like all in color and
Yeah. So I think now that I'm seeing part of the benefit of this torpor thing, because now I can kind of come back into town like openly again.
yeah.
Like at this point, anyone who knew me back in 1927, 28 is going to be like 32 years older. So even if they saw me, they'd be like, "Oh, that looks just like that little girl who used to come around here," you know.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't for a second assume I'm the same person, you know.
Right.
So
They wouldn't know.
So I can go back into town again, kind of more openly, and actually go to some late night movies, and just like in Interview with a Vampire, the movie, see a full color sunset or sunrise.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
For the
you
first
see,
time.
Well, yeah. And one of the first, well, you don't really, what you see actually by the time you get to the movies, like the months have gone on, there's a movie called Spartacus that's out.
Okay.
And so, so it's this biblical
Yeah.
film. It's like set in
Roman
times. 1 century
Wait,
BC.
is there any biblical element in Spartacus? I don't think there is. There's just they get crucified at the end, but I think that's not. It's non-religious crucifixion.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. I was thinking of something else.
Yeah,
I really do know about film.
I know you do.
I sound like an idiot right now.
God, you're such a fool. You're such a fool.
So anyway, it's about Roman times. It's about the slave, and it's about
Which is right at my alley.
yeah, and you're just kind of amazed by it. You're captivated by
So. Who is that handsome devil up on the screen?
let's Laurence Olivier.
What? See that?
It's he is. It's
It's been years since I've seen it.
yeah. So you're seeing this color
Yes.
movie
Yes.
happening in front of you.
Yes.
And this drama and the cherry. I mean, you've read.
Wait, where was that filmed? Can you check really
It was
quick?
filmed in.
Where was it produced?
It was filmed. Oh, like in Spain.
So it was filmed in Europe. Interesting.
Some of it was. Yeah.
Okay.
And then also, in terms of the book, yeah, you see that it was based on a book
Oh, okay.
that was published in 1951.
Okay.
So you might go to the library and be like, I want to learn more about Spartacus. Anyway, okay.
Give them a library card from 1927.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is expired. How did you get this?
So then there's a couple. So you kind of are seeing a lot of movies. So The Magnificent Seven comes out. So it's a Western that's even more like colorful and.
Yeah.
Then you also see a movie called Swiss Family Robinson, which is about this family who's on this island all by themselves, and there's these people that are trying to go after them, and they're with these animals, and it's tropical, and it's like beautiful, it's so colorful, and they have this amazing house and this tree, and it's just unbelievable to you.
Okay.
So you see that it's a Disney film, and that's the first time you see like this
An
production.
Irishman making movies. No, I'm kidding.
Who would have thought? So over time, you're just absorbing the culture.
Yeah.
So from about 1960 until about 1967.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are back in the town, in and out, fluctuating every other year.
Yeah.
Your house looks like, as you've seen more movies, as you've read more things, your house looks like a haunted house. It looks like something where ghosts live. Like, it looks like something that people are scared of.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the evenings when you're walking around town, you overhear people talking about, have you seen that house at the, on the fringes of town?
The old Freeman
I
Mansion.
think there's a family that lives there and they eat people. And like, there's like things that people are saying about your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So over those 6 years from 61 to 67, that's when Dr. Freeman will tell you or is telling you more about Golconda.
Okay.
More about what it means or what it could mean. And she says to you, I've never attained it. I'm hoping to. Like I said, I may not, but the reason I wanted us to go into that sleep was because I think there are some people after me. Like I said, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I wanted to lay low, and that was the only thing I could think of to do. I've told you about different clans of vampires. I told you about our clan. There's not very many of us. Some say there's just 7 of us total in the whole world.
Wow.
Yeah, but I don't believe that. I think they're staying quiet based on other things. So she tells you what she does know about the history of the Salubri, about the Tremere coming for...
I've told you about the clans, but there's one clan I haven't told you about.
No. She's been keeping it a little bit from me. She doesn't want to scare you.
Yeah.
And so... I guess when you say stuff like that, I'm afraid that what I'm saying sounds totally stupid and corny. And
No, I'm just adding to what you're saying.
Okay, all right.
Building up what you're saying.
Okay. So with that, she says that the Tremere are a clan that have hunted down our kind, the Salubri, and they are a serious danger. They want to destroy us. I was, so this is over the course of some evenings, she tells you that she fell in with a Tremere group. It was a sect of Tremere who said that they were intent on redeeming crimes against the Salubri. And I believed them. And they welcomed me into their group. I learned about some of their magic. But I also saw how powerful they are. They should not be underestimated. They wanted me to be part of... This other thing. So she explains to you about diablerie and what it is and how important it is and how it's actually part of Golconda. I had to diablerize my sire, Sibylla. She wanted me to. And she's looking at you very steadily as she's saying this. She wanted me to. Some people will frame this as something that's evil. People will spurn you or want to destroy you because of what we do. But this is part of our belief that through diablerie we can achieve some element of Golconda, and our sires being stronger when we consume their souls. So she's looking at you very meaningfully and says, I'm going to expect you to do that to me so that I can live on in you and we can achieve Golconda together somehow. When I ask you to do this, you're going to have to do it. And you will gain my knowledge, you will gain my thoughts, just like you may have detected in my blood when you've had my blood, and so you know parts of who I am. It's even more pronounced with when you ingest my soul, which I will ask you to do. People will not understand, but I will need you to do it when the time is right.
I would do anything for you, Lucille.
Okay, so she hugs you.
Yeah, the way she's framing it, I'm like, I see no problem with this.
So she lets you go, and she says, I will just tell you that I am afraid that the Tremere are after me. There was a ritual that took place. The sect that I told you about, they're called the Third Eye Sect because of they feel compassion about what they've done to us, what their clan has done to us. They wanted me to diablerize one of their elders, a Tremere elder. And I did so. By diablerizing him, I was able to absorb his knowledge, his magic, elements of him that other Tremere want. They want that knowledge. I don't know when they're going to find me, but I know it will happen eventually. So when this ritual took place, I had just finished diablerizing this Tremere elder, and other Tremere came in and they interrupted the ritual. They killed all the people in the Third Eye Sect that I had interacted with. I barely escaped with my life. And that's why I think that there are some that will come after me and want me, because they want to get that information from me of that elder's knowledge that I absorbed by consuming his soul. I'm telling this to you now because I'm feeling that there is a pressing need that you will have to... Things are going to start happening. And I don't know how to explain it, but things will start happening. There is a book. I don't know how to describe this, but once I diablerized him, my mind was opened to so many secrets that I know that the Tremere don't want us to know. I wrote all of these things down in a language that I cannot comprehend. I don't understand. I just wrote it. This book, I'm thinking, has all the secrets that were imparted to me from this elder. And he still guides me to this day. This was written in a language and jargon that I think only... Actually, I misspoke. Only a Salubri would understand. But it's a coded language.
Right.
So I want to teach you this language before it's too late.
So she decoded it after she wrote it.
Yeah. Thank you. Now this book, I do not possess it. I gave it to a trusted kindred. He's part of the Giovanni clan. He was at the ritual with a neonate. And I will describe her to you. They have this book, as far as I know. I entrusted it with him.
Okay.
If you find this book, it will be clear to you, but I think it will only be clear to you after you diablerize me. Whenever that happens. So she's kind of just staring off into the distance, But for now, I can just teach you everything that I know around this language. I can teach you everything that I know, so that when the time does come, you'll know what to do.
Okay.
So, time goes on. You kind of enter into another fun kind of state of, it's very... You have your routines. You have your usual things you do with your animals, with people. You're still in this like town, but your house is now perceived as this haunted house.
Right.
You notice that there are changes happening in the town. There's a lot of different types of people in town that weren't there before.
Okay.
It's developed slightly and then run down in other places.
Yeah.
So one night you wake up and it is, you know that it's March. It's March 1967. And when you wake up, your eyes open, you hear commotion. You hear shouting. You hear people tramping up and down stairs.
Ooh.
And suddenly your door opens.
Oh.
And it's Emma.
Okay.
And she says, "We don't have a lot of time. I was waiting for you to wake up, but I've been hiding up here. What Lucille told you is about to happen.
What?
They've staked her. She's in the yard.
No.
So if you go and you rush to the window, attic window, very carefully, you see that there are 2 women and a man. And there's Lucille on the ground, and there's a stake through her heart. It looks like she's staked into the ground.
Oh my God.
And they're all standing around her, staring. And one of them looks up at the window
Oh shit.
and makes eye contact with you.
Ah.
And that's where we'll end it.
Excellent. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
That's quite a pickle. I don't know how I'm going to get out of that one.
All right.
All right. Sounds good.
Does it?
Yeah. Why did you think? Why do you look dissatisfied?
I feel anxious. Like, I don't know if anyway, I won't talk about my doubts here,
Okay.
but I'm just
You'll
hoping.
only talk about your strengths.
I'm hoping that was compelling and
It was very compelling. I think that pretty much covered it. I was a little curious, like in the latter half after the torpor, like did Lucille go back to practicing medicine in the town?
so yes.
Okay.
So she there's a couple doctors in town who know her, and the hospital knows her, and so she'll come around sporadically.
So there's like a little local hospital.
So she'll come around sporadically and just kind of do things, and yeah. So she kind of works behind the scenes,
Yeah.
but it was getting harder and harder for her
Right.
as there have been changes in the medical field too.
Sure.
So there's more
Right.
accountability.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Totally.
it's a little harder for her to
Yeah.
practice. But she was hoping through the torpor that maybe she could kind of, people would forget about her, and then she could come back and start to,
Totally.
be a doctor. So.
Cool. Yeah. So that's where the fresh blood was coming in. Was from maintaining a herd via her practice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's the only plot hole I detected. So yeah.
Okay.
I was very satisfied with that.
Okay, good.
I thought it was good. Covered a lot of ground. We had to.
It's
going to be a very long session by the time I stitch the two sessions
It will be
together.
very long,
I
but
hope people are okay with that.
if you want to fast forward, it's fine. We'll refer to things in the past. But I felt like I'm trying to figure out the best way to do like a prelude for a character who is as long-lived as Charlotte is.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's about what you did. That's what you did. I don't think it was, apart from our in-depth discussion of the moon phase and cloud cover at the top there, I think we moved it along pretty well.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried.
And obviously you were setting up some themes that are going to come back. And also a MacGuffin to look for, which is good.
Yeah.
So I think everything's in place.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't run it any differently.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a longer prelude when you have a character
prelude.
who does that. But thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Thanks for listening.
Exactly.
If you got this far, I really, really appreciate
kudos.
it. Major kudos, and thank you for
Yes.
for
And thank you for running it.
of course.